The Commission on Out-of-School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes is called to order at 7:08.
So we have no public.
Okay, great. And there are no public members today, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Commissioner Allen?
Oh. Here.
Great. Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Burke?
Present.
Commissioner Crosby? Commissioner Crump? Okay, Commissioner Brown?
Couldn't hear, sorry, the construction. Present.
Okay, gotcha. We'd also like to welcome Miles Smith. Awesome. Commissioner Garrido?
Here.
Commissioner Hill? Present. Commissioner Hecker? Commissioner Holland? Commissioner Holland? Okay, Commissioner Kinney? Commissioner O'Neill? Oh, she's excused. Commissioner Peeler? Commissioner Siegel?
Here.
Okay. Great. So now, Commissioners, if we can review and approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Peeler motions to approve the agenda.
Second.
Great. Okay. Those who approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, please say aye.
I think that was for the until.
That was for the delay.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Okay. Motion carries with unanimous approval. And a draft version of the minutes have been provided. Are there any changes or revisions to the minutes? Okay, can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I motion to approve.
Okay, great. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Those who approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who abstain, please say aye.
I would.
Gotcha. Okay, and those who abstain, please say aye. Okay, motion carries with 8. Okay. 8 approving and 1 abstention. Okay. Milo, if you'd like to provide the updates from the OST office.
So our agenda for today is what we're going to do an overview of the grants from our office, the 2019 Summer Strong DC, and then the fiscal year 2019 overview. In your packet, you also have a one-pager with some of the highlights that we'll have, so just to complement our verbal updates. Deborah, do you want to do the grants?
Sure. So we'll see the graph for school year 2019-20 grant distribution, and then the one-pager on the grants. For school year 19-20 grantees, they were notified with award letters sent out on August 19th. 140 organizations applied and 88 were awarded. 8.7 million in grants will be going out, and the anticipated total youth to be programmed is 16,000. There was a year-round grant that was an invitation-only inaugural competition this year, meaning that the grantees programmed school year and summer in 2019. And they were invited to apply. There are 24 school year-round grantees. So that means that they will not need to apply also for summer. There was one grantee that moved from the small nonprofit to the regular school year grantee, and there are 7 new grantees to OST programming. And 22 of the organizations that are current school year grantees are in their 3rd year of continuation grants, which means that they will need to reapply next year. For summer 20 grants, they were just released. Summer 20 grants were released 2 days ago and are available on both Learn24 and the United Way websites, and will be released in the OST newsletter. For those grants, we will be awarding, there are 4 different grant competitions that were released. The Summer Strong Grant Competition will be awarding $1.6 million, small nonprofit, $225,000, Summer Enrichment, which is for programming at DCPS in the afternoons, and DPR for gap weeks, will be up to $500,000, and the coordinating entity for summer camps at DCHA and short-term family housing sites for summer camps will award $500,000.
And the visual we have is from the school year 1920, so the current grantees distribution. So we try to overfund in Ward 7 and 8 because there are more kids in Ward 7 and 8 based on the needs assessment. So you can see the funding sort of by ward, and then we actually mapped and dot the plot of the program site. So you can see the distribution across all 8 wards. Any questions on the grants? Quick update then on 2019 Summer Strong that just finished. We have some early data related to that. And you can see we did some summer quality assessment. So we piloted the quality assessment tool over the summer at 5 locations. And so those are the scores that are actually slightly higher than the school year, but the number of participants is much smaller. So it is not like fantastic in terms of looking at data, but it gave us a chance to actually use the tool, see how much work it takes to use it, and just kind of go through the process before we actually roll this out across the board. So next year we are looking at 10 organizations or 10 sites to do the quality assessment with. The quality assessments during the summer is different than what it looks like during the school year, in that there is no self-assessment. So it is just an external observation done, and so it requires 2 meetings, though, a meeting with the observer at the end of summer so they can plan for next summer on how to improve, just because summer is so short. So there isn't 2 visits, it's just 1 by the external observer. So the scores are higher compared to the school year. So we wanted to share those, but the scales stayed the same on those 4. There are some additional scales that we didn't want to look into yet, just focusing on the 4 domains of the quality assessment. The second graph is the summer SAO results. This is also early data, as we're still just finalizing summer data, and Jeremy's out this week. And so over the summer, again, programming is short, so there are only 3 scales that are measured. Youth believe they have a supportive adult, which is similar to the fall. Actually, the summer data for the SAO is very similar to the fall, where the youth believe they have a supportive adult is high and above the mostly yes. Youth having opportunities for leadership and responsibility, which is the top of the domain, was also under that mostly yes during the school year. And then youth feeling engaged, which is the 3rd part of the pyramid, they're mostly yes. So that's how the quality assessment from a program standpoint and the youth voice kind of mirrors that. So as you can see, engagement is low, which we observe it to be low on the sites, but as we have more sites, we should see alignment between the quality assessments and the youth and how they feel. So it gives us the youth opinion with how we're doing observations. And this is the first year of this, so again, we would be cautious on the data, but we wanted to show you just early analysis. Any questions on that? The next slide is just for fun. We want to celebrate some of the fiscal year 2019 overview and just highlight as we start the new fiscal year for fiscal 20. So just a couple highlights are on your sheet, but I wanted to make sure that we reflected and just celebrate. So the OST Commission finalized the strategic plan back in August, so you should be proud of doing that. Through the work of the committees, 25 community members and stakeholders participated in those subcommittees across the 4 committees. And that is not counting like the commissioners, so just public members. There are about over 25 who have attended or participated. 12,576 youth, and that is deduplicated. So the number that Deborah told you of like who to fund, those could be duplicate numbers as a kid may attend multiple programs. So far, and this is early for FY19, we have 12,567 youth served across all of our grants. And this is the first time we can give you deduplicated numbers because most of the grantees are now using the database. And so it is a little bit lower than what we had anticipated, but this is the first time we're getting to deduplicated numbers for youth served. So we're getting closer to actually see where the youth are. And as we get the data, hopefully in December from OSSI, we'll be able to see how many are actually at risk and where they live and do a little deeper analysis of the youth. 113 organizations were funded throughout the year across all of the grant competitions. 841 youth development practitioners trained through the Institute for Youth Development and the work that Kevin handles, both with the quality and the professional development. We had increased numbers in subscribers from the newsletter from 4,600 to 65. We've increased web traffic over the last year through the newsletter and just putting other things on the website. And then just new this year and thinking about the office and some of the initiatives that happened. The SEO was new in FY19, so we had over 2,500 youth complete the SEO, both the school year and the summer one. 63 organizations completed their own self-assessment, so building awareness of the quality assessment tool. We started a capacity building partnership with Fair Chance that launched in September, and that will continue into FY20 with providing an opportunity for small nonprofits to get some capacity building support. We issued the year-round grant competition, which allowed grantees to reduce the burden of reporting and streamline some of the issues that come with managing 2 grants, the school year and the summer. And then we did the summer enrichment grant competition, which was different than previous. So that is partnership with DCPS to do afternoon enrichment, and then with DPR to do programming during the breaks when DPR staff goes, so it's during the gap weeks. And then actually in summer of 2020, the one thing I do want to highlight is that we actually made a targeted request in there to program evening weekends at some of the DPR sites. So again, just thinking about when youth need access to programming. So there's in the summer 2020, we've been working with DPR to think through some of that opportunities. So you should all pat yourself on the back as guiding the office in this work. That's why you have fireworks on the screen. Any questions on our update, and then just sharing some of the important dates in the committee meetings moving forward. That's our update, Commissioner, or person.
Okay. So our next item on the agenda are our nominations for vice chairperson. So there were 2 nominations for vice chair. One candidate graciously declined. Therefore, we have 1 nomination for vice chair, and that nominee is Burnell Holland. Now, Commissioner Holland, we're going to have to, I guess, mute the phone for a little bit to discuss, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. All right, so the floor is open for discussion. Does anyone have any comments?
I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think he's been obviously very active, engaged commissioner, and I think he's leading the 1 or 2 of the subcommittees. So yeah, I think he'd be great to play that role.
Sounds good. All right. Let's see. All right. Can we get a motion to approve the nomination?
Motion to approve.
Okay. And any seconds?
Second.
Great. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Those who approve the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, please say aye. Okay, great. And any abstaining? Okay, great. So motion carries unanimously. Hi, Commissioner Holland?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The motion carries unanimously. And I'd like to thank the Commission for their great leadership while Commissioner Holland was here.
Thank you, guys. I'm honored to serve. I will do my best to do the job.
Great. Congratulations.
Take care, buddy.
Okay. And so the next item on the agenda are meeting dates for fiscal year 2020. So it's going to be the second Thursday of every month. And is the time from 7 to 8:30 work per month? Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and we also have a draft calendar as well. Okay, and then now can we get the committee updates? Committee chairperson? So Commissioner Crump or Commissioner Hill, would you like to provide an update on the funding and capacity building?
So, from the last meeting, we had 2 updates to tactics. And one of them is recognizing the need for continuous improvement and implementation through an equity lens and defining like what is that equity lens as it relates to funding and capacity building, as well as identifying the work with the philanthropy community. And then we revised some of our funding priorities, the strategies under defining funding priorities to promote equity, so the tactics under them. We revised them to review like the Learn 24 funding trends. To review the Learn 24 funding trends, processes, priorities, as it relates to the competitions, amount of awards year round, and looking at different entities. And then just organizing in what order that we are going to be handling those tactics. And we are now working on timelines for completion for those tactics that subcommittee has approved.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Can the OST office provide one update related to philanthropy? So just last week, we did a presentation to RAG, the Washington Regional Association of Grantmakers, around the funding report. And so they were, and then just in general, some of the work of the office related to the SAO and the quality work. And they were very supportive of the work and very are interested in looking around how to potentially conduct site visits to the small nonprofits we fund and looking at a better partnership. And they also recognize the potential gap that can happen between funding the small nonprofits and before they're ready to the larger mix. So they highlighted that that is a gap that potentially they could fill and that they would continue that conversation separately from the office. But I thought I would highlight the site visits, which came across from the CBOs during a meeting we had, a convening with grantees back in June. That was one of the things they highlighted that they would like to see the office do. And so they were receptive to that. So that is something our office will follow up with in the coming months to see if we can do something there around site visits.
Okay. Commissioner Hecker is not here, so if you have someone from the Outcomes Committee who would like to give an update.
I think that's me. So in terms of the Outcomes Committee, they are working on discussing around what are the outcomes to look at and measure. And a first step at that they were looking at is the number of national, sort of just in general, indicators that can be used to measure success for youth. So they're looking at what is already out there, what's being done across DC, and then whether or not they can use that as the citywide measures for outcomes. So some of the conversation there is looking at basic things like reading by 3rd grade, algebra by 8th grade, in-school attendance, and so they're just having early conversations around what the citywide outcomes will be. So they're looking at that in particular over the next few months. And they do meet regularly, so they have a good group of people who meet every second Friday on the odd months. So you're welcome to join that, but most of them have been providers at the table, so they're working at that level. And then the outcomes for the organizational level, so they framed it around system level, organizational level, and then the program level. And at the organizational level, the outcomes will be some of the capacity building work that we're doing and around the needs assessment. Any questions for the outcomes committee?
Okay, and once again, the update on the coordination and collaboration committee.
Yes, so the chairperson for this one resigned, so Maggie had to move to Nashville. And then we, at the last commission meeting, requested one of her team members, Ramina, to step in. Unfortunately, Ramina took another position and said, I can't chair your committee. So we will need a chair for this committee moving forward. But the Coordination and Collaboration Committee also meets pretty regularly and have been moving the work plan. In particular, the one thing we wanted to highlight is tomorrow at the Learn 24 conference, they're handling we're facilitating a partnership conversation. So they're doing a panel discussion for about 30 minutes around what does good partnership look like between CBOs and CBOs and CBOs and government agencies. So the panel is Thomason from DCPS, Thomason Franken, for those who are not familiar, Vanessa, our chairperson for DPR, representing the government side. Then we have a charter school, Margaret
Marjorie Howard.
Thank you, Marjorie Howard from the Seed School. And then we have the fourth panelist,
Daniela.
Grazioni.
After school all
After school all-stars.
Sorry.
So that's the panel. So they all have like good partnerships. So the panel's talking about what does it take to have really good partnership. And so there's a couple of questions for them. We'll take questions from the audience. They will transition into an activity. I can't share unless you come. Then there's a tabletop discussion related to partnership and what does it take, what should Learn 24 you do to support strong partnerships, either for yourself, your organization, and vice versa. What do other organizations need to have good partnership? This will guide the committee in thinking about where to prioritize their work. There's some other things moving within the committees, but in particular, they want to focus on partnership over the next few months and defining that, and then recognizing what kind of items to produce, either a toolkit or MOUs, and trying to figure out what are the most important pieces that support partnership, and having that conversation. Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Vanessa, did I miss anything?
Gotcha. And Commissioner Kinney's not here.
Margot is gonna.
Yep.
Great.
So the Quality Committee met on September 23rd, and we had a few members in attendance and went over the quality statements, which I'll sort of save to reveal to them to you later. But because we did work with the feedback that we received at the last commission meeting to try to incorporate and revise the concepts and priorities that were expressed here. We also looked at a list of topic areas and specific items that are proposed for a website that would be resources for organizations to use in strengthening their organization's capacity with regard to everything from hiring personnel to training them to focusing on different aspects of programming, policies, funding, all sorts of things. So we looked at ones that we thought were maybe more relevant to the Quality Committee specifically, and tried to sort of cross-reference and say, does this go here in our view, like in our worldview, does this make sense here? Should this be in another category? Are there other things that could be added? And so we worked on some of that, which was all captured by Kevin. And then we also looked at the status of different activities in the strategic plan to see where we were, are we on track? And so far, thanks to the work of everybody in Glenn's office, things are on track, yes, which is great. So, and some things I think will even be ahead of the game because it looked like some of the activities that had to do with working on the website and providing these resources are things that are more readily available to be posted than others, which was great. So looked like there'd be good progress on that. But we did want to present the revised quality statements to you and see if you have any additional feedback on those.
Which one do you want first?
I guess the younger youth one was the one that we had the least feedback on from the prior meeting. No, this is the older.
Mine are the other one.
This is the older youth one. Okay, this is the one that we really wanted to work on with you because this is
So
the
you want
one.
the parent one, sorry.
Yeah.
This is the parent one
Sorry.
for older students.
This is the older student one.
Yes, right. I thought we were going to start with the younger one. But
That
that's
was
okay.
my fault. I misunderstood.
Okay, so this is the one for the younger kids. The quality OST programs provide children activities that bring joy in learning and build character with dedicated staff who protect all children. And I know that there were some maybe grammatical things or other issues that people had at the previous meeting, but we really did not touch this. The one thought is maybe the word children appearing twice is a redundancy, but that's about it. So, is there any feedback from other commissioners about this statement? This was intended to resonate with parents of younger children to connect with the concerns and priorities that they have and that we know are important to quality programming.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it only activities?
Well, I think activities was meant to be in the broadest sense
Broadest
because
sense.
we're referencing learning as well as character building and so it was sort of meant to be the broadest word.
I'm
for that.
thinking, are there resources involved as well?
Yes, could be, although the resources might be used in the activities. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just alternatively, like the environment. I mean, I don't know if that has an impact on at least the joy.
Right,
aspect.
right.
But I don't feel strong that
Okay.
activities is such a thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Activities, resources. Okay, we will continue to wrestle with this one and try to get those ideas in there. Yeah, before we need to finalize it.
And also maybe saying, activities, if you want to keep activities that bring joy, learning, and build character.
Okay,
I don't know if it changes the concept of saying like in learning, but being in an OST program can also bring joy, but you can also learn and also build character.
right. That's a good point.
You know, and I have something, and this could just be me being a little particular, but I think about, as a parent too, I don't want my children to just have joy about learning. I also want them to be able to learn as well, if that makes sense. Because here, it's like I was sitting here quietly wrestling with it, and I kept thinking, but like, what about the learning part? Like, how do I want them to be stimulated intellectually, whatever is appropriate for their particular age group? But yeah, something on that part of things. So.
I think what you said touches on that.
Right.
Removing the N and just adding a comma, so that brings joy, learning, and builds character, rather than making it joy in learning.
Right.
Might work.
So,
Comma, delete, and comma.
yes.
And then brains, add an S to brain.
Oh, right.
I have a question about dedicated staff.
No, it's no S.
No, there's no S.
It's no S, because that
Great.
confuses the whole.
Yeah, dedicated staff, what is the definition of dedicated staff? I mean, are they qualified staff? Are they actually dedicated but not qualified?
Sometimes, but we won't say that.
Yeah.
Dedicated is broad. Like when I initially read it, I was thinking like passionate, but you know, but when you bring it up, it's like, yeah, what do you mean by dedicated? Just because you come every day, like what is it?
Engaged. I mean, we'd hope they'd be engaged anyway,
You could say skilled or like passionate and skilled.
I was gonna say skilled and passionate, maybe.
Am I adding it?
Hey, do we need a first children, reference to children?
or if it's in Word, I would.
Did somebody just join?
Well, they can't.
That would be Commissioner Hall and John Knopf. I bet it's hard to hear.
It's probably hard to hear, and if
The
you can't
noise.
see this, I don't know, I mean,
Yeah.
just keep it open. Keep it there.
Is the issue that you feel like children is redundant, because it's mentioned twice?
Yes, that's all. It's just,
Um,
but there's no need, I mean, it can stay. Yeah.
I use participants a lot, but I don't know if that's too formal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't plan to, like, as a parent.
Participants, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it probably inferred that portion.
What we say, youth
Oh, you want to speak
activities.
about programs,
Oh.
provide activities
Yeah.
that bring joy, learning, and build character, with skilled and passionate staff. Does that get at the environment piece?
Well, I think it's just a question, do we want to consider elements beyond activities as factors that go into the joy and learning,
Right.
the character building?
That's what I'm thinking about, activities that bring joy, because in some of our wards, there may be different types of issues. Kids and youth may have unique struggles. They may have fears, other family issues, community issues, before we can even get to joy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's some prerequisites before. I mean, I guess you want to bring, like you're saying, activities that actually manifest joy. But if you're dealing with fear and fright and violence and some other stuff that's going on, are you going to deal with some underlying situations that the youth are actually dealing with on a daily basis that prevent joy from occurring?
I'm okay with the joy thing because I think about it even in terms of like just that temporary escape. Like you think about children that are in homes that are tumultuous. I mean, I think sometimes even like just getting away to school for a few hours, like it doesn't erase the problems, but in some ways it's a temporary escape from things. So like I'm okay with the joy.
Question, as it relates to quality, because I know a lot of the things that we do in terms of tracking, like with COI, is social emotional, which is why I'm glad we changed joy and learning. But how do we tie that back from just feelings into also outcomes, like educational outcomes, and making sure that those are important in terms of tracking quality and not just I feel safe, I feel happy, but I feel like I'm learning, I'm acting like, how do we, I'm just asking about additional, just, I don't know if it's a word to add in there in terms of learning, but just kind of outcomes.
What about holistic maybe activities? Because that would encompass some of
I feel like for some parents
that go, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about like how do you tie some of what everyone's trying to say together, but yeah.
Or you could say something like activities that address the whole child as a way to get.
Yeah, I think that's a little
Yeah, I
bit
like that.
easier to digest.
And the whole child, I think, would address the joy as well as the fear or.
I think to your point, Commissioner Crump, though, but just singling out the word learning and having it have its own statement there will allow us to tie the academic outcomes that your group is focusing on to this statement. That once the word learning is in there, we have to be able to say how how do we know that that's happening, right? How are we measuring a program to determine if it meets this quality statement? So,
Going back to what you said about environment, something about activities. I don't know if it's quality OST programs provide an environment that address, or I don't know, something about activity that just seems limiting.
You could do that too, yeah.
Hey, Commissioner Holland, you still with us?
I am not, I kicked off for a second, but I'm here.
Gotcha. So just wanted to read out loud the statement for you so you can kind of hear what we're working on. So this is the draft quality statement for parents. So quality OST programs provide an environment, activities that address the whole child, bring joy, learning, and build character with skilled and passionate staff who protect all children.
in an atmosphere of fun on a Saturday afternoon.
I think you covered all the bases there.
What are we deleting?
Environment or activity.
Which one?
I mean, maybe you could say opportunities that address the whole child. I mean, opportunities is a bit more vague, but,
Well, it's too vague. They hear the word opportunity a
Yeah.
lot.
I think the environment piece helps with everyone saying, when you create a particular environment for a kid that encompasses, I think, activities and resources, right? Or
Yeah.
so address needs to be plural. Is that right? Environment addresses
change it.
the whole child, brings joy. And I think we need a verb in front of learning.
No, I think learning is
It has something like ensures learning.
Oh,
or
ensure, I
promotes
see what you mean,
learning.
right. Enhances learning,
yeah.
improves learning,
Strengthens learning.
strengthens learning.
Spelling skills being tested.
Has to be thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And brings.
And builds.
And builds.
Yeah, just to keep it to one sentence.
We're good.
Oh, God.
Say that one more.
They do
Yeah.
really well.
It's not college level, that's.
Right.
That's
I
true,
think
and that's
this is a
important.
lot more comprehensive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it gets more deeply into some of the things that parents care about. Okay, should we hold this one where we are? Are we good for now? Okay, no? Yes,
One
keep
more
going,
thing.
yes.
If we take the with skilled staff and put it at the beginning, provide an environment with skilled and passionate staff that addresses the whole child rather than having it.
Well, but then the part about protecting children was the part that then ends up being too stray. If we
Like
do
by
that.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like.
Well, you could just add it, strengthens learning, comma, builds character, and protects all children.
Sorry. So we're getting rid of this and now, right?
Yeah, get rid of that and.
So then it should be staff who address, it's not plural at that point, it would be singular.
There we go.
Now we have to change, actually get rid of all of
Get all
these.
the
Again. Take all the plural.
But now it's more about the staff doing all these things, right? than
Rather than the
program.
program, and that was my only hesitation with moving
Right.
that statement to the
Right.
beginning, I agree.
Which I think
We'll
is
just
why.
flip it, just quality OST programs have skilled and passionate staff
and provide an environment that addresses. But you're still putting staff first in front of
Yeah.
children.
I'm sorry?
I think the issue is we're talking about staff first and then
Oh,
the
not
children
the
last.
program. Oh, I see.
It's almost like saying staff are going to bring joy to the kids.
Mhm.
Right,
Right, and
right.
they're doing all those things, yeah.
Or, yeah,
You can go back.
I don't know much staff that bring joy to kids. Sometimes.
I guess it has to be one sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
The goal is for any parent to understand it quickly enough.
Yeah.
Quickly might be a little challenging with the statement, but put on your parent hat, not your OST hat.
No, it's good to me.
I think, you know, this reworking has been helpful. I think this is good. I think it's a better statement than the earlier one. So let's look at the one for older youth. So this is also intended to speak both to the older youth and their parents, I suppose. And this one is shorter. What was considered lacking in the previous one was the concept of young people being able to connect and sort of network and build those relationships that will be important to their future. And it also, we had some conversation about the previous statement had something to do with, you know, young leaders, and we were trying to make sure that we didn't make young people feel as though they had to be leaders already. You know, we didn't want it to exclude anybody. We wanted to build in the concept that they would be. It had something about future leaders. That's what it was, and that was the challenge. Like maybe they're leaders already, you know. But then we didn't want people who weren't feeling leaderly to feel excluded. Like I can't be part of this. I'm not a future leader. You know. Anyway, so we tried to really mess around with this one. This is where we came out. Quality OST programs connect youth with other young people and caring adults to have fun, engage, and prepare for the future.
So what is the word I don't understand is engage.
Yeah. This is where maybe we need to add more of the specifics that we included in the previous one. You know, engage in learning, engage in skill building, engage in, you know.
Can you just say learn?
Yes, sure. Yes. I think the key with a statement like this is we really ought to test it with some teenagers and see if they think it sounds really terrible or kind of interesting. You know, does it make you curious about being part of something, or does it turn you off?
I 100% agree. We should talk to more people. It makes everything better. That's probably the best next step, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like the suggestion about being engaged, like not just being engaged, engaging learning and especially development content that's more action oriented.
Okay.
Engaging with each other is seen by the first long, as I can remember hearing verbally, but yeah, that's definitely good for direct feedback.
Okay.
People are actually talking about.
Yeah, so we actually updated from engage to just learn. So now it says quality OST programs connect youth with other young people and caring adults to have fun, learn, and prepare for the future.
But you're saying you like that engaged concept, like being engaged, you know, connected to something.
You know, I'm fine with the edit. It's straight to the point.
Okay.
I just think that even people with the new language, we should try to just get a input from
Sounds good.
Is the engage about making sure that the program is relevant to the issues, needs, and concerns of young people? I mean, is that what that
Yes,
engage
and just,
process is about?
to me, the difference between learning sounds dry to me, if I put my student hat on, whereas engage sounds like I'm gonna be doing something. It sounds more, yeah.
What if we say to engage in fun learning and preparing for the future?
So instead of,
I'm gonna throw a big old monkey wrench in there.
yeah.
Some of the youth in some of the communities where I work, they feel like the future is now. So when we say future, I think that's kind of adults speaking to realistically about time later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, to be prepared. I mean, it may not even matter in terms of that, but I just wanted to just say that because again, a lot of my kids, they don't feel like they got a future.
Mm-hmm.
They see their peers being killed every day, and they feel like the future is now. So I don't know if we need to push them to really realistically see that there is a future beyond from what they can see. But some of them don't identify with the future. They don't identify with years from now. I'm talking about just, a lot of 16-year-olds, they see their youth being, stuff is happening. So anyway, like I said, that's a big old monkey wrench. If,
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the one thing, two questions. I have one question, Lisa. Is this when we're talking about quality statements towards programs? I guess what's throwing me off is the connect youth with other young people and caring adults. But some program models don't connect youth with other youth because they're more individual based. And then I like it better when it says fun and then learn separately because I think especially in certain communities, youth understand, especially teenagers understand, they do certain activities, like they might sign up for computer science program because that's where they know they need to be able to make $20 an hour in 2 years as compared to but it's not fun for them, but it's something that they're doing to prepare themselves for the future. So I think learning should be fun, but I don't think it always is, and sometimes,
So put the comma back.
Yeah, I think we need the
The comma disappeared, yeah.
That's what it was before.
to engage in fun, comma, learn. Is that what you want? Not engage in fun learning, but engage in
Yeah.
fun. Engage in fun.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think that's especially if this is supposed to be towards young people. I think setting up the impression that sets up the impression that everything is gonna be fun, or that engaging in fun. I think engage is a good word. We could use that word, but I think we have to figure out what we want to use it with because we just can't put engage because young people are gonna be like engage in what?
Right,
Not
right,
engaging,
right.
But
But you'd rather take the word fun out and then just have engage in learning and preparing for the future.
no, I think fun can stay. I
Okay.
don't mind fun. I think that certain especially if we're talking to young people, I think that fun can be in there, but for it to be exclusive, like they're engaging in fun I just don't.
Go back to have.
I was gonna say, maybe just go back to half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still pondering that comment about like now and in the future, like how to.
And maybe we can do something with engage and then prepare for the future instead of preparing for the future. Maybe like college and career or whatever it. I mean, if y'all don't wanna use the word future, but I also like prepare now and for the future.
Can we just do that,
Yeah,
prepare
now,
now
yeah,
and for
be
the future?
prepared.
Or we could say prepare
Be prepared.
now, and for, or it could be today and tomorrow.
What if we make
Prepare
it to
for
prepare
today.
to
Oh,
events
yeah.
in life?
Or today and tomorrow.
Because I agree with what you said about the future. I think that should be one.
To advance in life.
No, that, hearing that suggestion.
Yeah, so what if,
Today's and tomorrow's goals.
In other words, prepare to advance in life. To prepare, no, and prepare to advance in life.
Take out the
Take out the
rest.
rest.
The other young people trying to figure out, what are we gonna say, they're eager?
Yeah,
I know, we
eager.
went back on that too, but then we thought that, our colleague from DC Scores was saying that a lot of social media today, that notion of young people is kind of an accepted concept, in terms of like youth activism and stuff. That the notion of being involved with other young people is okay. I thought it was maybe like a fuddy-duddy old person word to reference young people as if they're different, but I think it seems to be something that's more adopted among the young people.
So we're still missing a word. I don't know if adults, and caring adults to engage, is it in fun or something? We gotta figure that out.
Could you say, programs connect and engage youth with other young people and caring adults in fun, or for fun, or with fun?
I think
To
in
have
fun.
fun.
To have fun,
Yeah, now we're back to,
yeah.
yeah.
And take out prepare to, just say advance in life.
Good.
Like that,
Yeah.
Brunel, are you hearing the final version here?
I can hear that you guys are looking at it, I don't know what the final.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's quality OST programs connect and engage youth with other young people and caring adults to have fun, learn, and advance in life.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's what it feels a little wordy, but I think it accomplishes the goal, but I still think I'm part about it. If this is in particular, I think focus on young people, then we should, just look at other people. I'm okay with where it's standing now and be able to get there.
Good.
just say, connect, engage young people and each other, or something, and each other.
Yeah, I thought about that
Using young
earlier
people
as a
twice.
essential, you could say that, connect with each other. With each other.
Sorry.
With each other.
Sorry to be the script.
With each other and caring adults have fun, yeah.
I'd rather say youth instead of young people, but.
Youth is shorter.
Yeah.
It's shorter, yeah.
People, it could be early.
That's true too,
Yeah, I
right.
think you realize with each other and caring, yeah.
This doesn't address your thing for those programs that are one-on-one, but usually
Yeah.
we still bring
Yeah.
them together once a week or
Yeah.
something for some engagement, some consistent learning.
I think we have two statements that we should take out and test at this point. I mean, I think we've, until we get more feedback from real, constituents, it'd be good to start with what we have.
Okay. Okay, so now we have quality OST programs connect and engage youth with each other and caring adults to have fun, learn, and advance in life.
Got it.
Okay, gotcha. And Commissioner Holland, could you please give the update on needs assessment?
Sure.
Thank you.
So, needs assessment really, we met on September 19th. And we basically were talking about how to bring the outline priorities, how to bring that to life in terms of actual assessment, surveys for parents and youth. We talked about also just data sources for information that maybe we wouldn't have to ask to do, just give the information from other agencies, whether that's DPR or DCPS or things like that. And then, you know, we started coming up with a few direct questions that we would propose to be on the next round of surveys based off of the priorities that are outlined in the commission's overall list. And then we spent a lot of time talking about different methodologies for collection of the data, how do we use up the number of these surveys that we actually collect the different students, what type of incentives could be potentially offered to spike participation in the survey, how could we get aligned with existing things that are going on in the city where people are captive audience, like some of the like the SYC registration of the convention center, things like that. And how could we get our surveys the iPad and things like that? And actually at DPR site, you have to be plugged in or something. And we talked about a different timing to it because when we got the survey approach, we were thinking about ideally releasing surveys in the late summer, right as the school year kind of gets going. And then basically, we're going to take the existing surveys from the previous year and kind of recommend those up as sort of a starting point in terms of the questions that we talked about. And then we take it about, I think that's generally the overview of probably not our board too much detail, but yeah, a lot of thinking about how to, especially for why we're at, where we're moving the data, and how to improve data. Anything, Anna?
Nothing, but it was hard to hear you, so I might ask Commissioner or Jared Vanessa to provide another, just a quick 30-second.
You did great, though.
You did do great.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it was very hard to hear you.
And I think I understood because I was there.
Yeah.
So I knew what he was saying. But no, so we were talking about the best way to incentivize getting the data to, you know, what will make kids want to tell us what they think. And just shooting around some ideas for that. And we all, I think we all agreed that like some immediate, the more immediate we can make it and tangible we can make it, the better for youth. We talked about the different ways that we can get to youth, and especially get to youth that we might not typically be able to get to. There was a specific population that we discussed though, and I don't know if it was homeless youth, or it was I remember, I can't really recall, but it was a very vulnerable population that we don't usually have immediate access to, and just engaging different agencies and organizations to try to help us to get that. We also talked about the fact that like you know, we want to coordinate these surveys as much as possible because DCPS is surveying their kids, charter schools are surveying their kids, OSI sends out surveys. I mean, it's a lot. So in DPR, we also survey. So we want to coordinate as much as possible and not duplicate and just get people tired out on it. And then I think we also discussed just like the medium that we would use in iPads, having something really, you know, immediate. We talked about like how when you take Uber and you just give them a rating right there, like something maybe quick that we can get data on, quick data points on. Did I miss anything?
All right, thank you for the update. And are there any additional business or announcements? Gotcha. All right, well, the next meeting date will be December 12th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Those who approve adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose? Okay. Those who oppose? Okay. Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries with unanimous approval.
I haven't been in the last couple months. I think I went to the first one, but that wasn't. You talking about the conference? Or you talking about the
Thanks.
Congratulations.
See you in December.
Yeah, it's a workshop. I think the conference is like 2 months.